The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets is a collection of photo tutorials for beginners that will take you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. It is now available for purchase worldwide anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. Hello, my name is Masha, and today I want to teach you how to make this gorgeous friendship bracelet. This bracelet is relatively easy, there's not too many repeating rows, but I wouldn't recommend starting out with it if you're just beginning. If you're new to friendship bracelets, I would recommend starting with the chevron, and perhaps watching my beginner's guide video, which will be linked in the description. Going into this tutorial, I expect that you know how to make the basic knots, and have made a bracelet or two in the past, so are generally familiar with how they work. For this bracelet, you're going to need 5 colors, 2 strings for each, about 1 meter in length. That said, let's get into the tutorial. I started my bracelet with a half triangle end. I have a separate tutorial on triangle ends, it's linked in the description. The only thing you need to know is the string order. And the order for this one is a little bit funky. So within my bracelet, I want my strings to go from dark pink to light pink to yellow to blue to purple. But within the half triangle end, the color order is a little bit different. It starts off the same. I bring out the 2 dark pink strings and the 2 light pink strings, but then the yellow color gets split off with just 1 yellow string first. And then we jump all the way to the last color, which is purple for me, and we do 2 of that. Then we bring back the yellow, and finally the second to last color, which is blue, brings out 1 string, and then the other string is the last one left. You can also see this in the pattern. We're going to be following the pattern in a candy stripe shape, and you can see the little strings going into the pattern for that row. And of course, don't forget to leave 10 to 15 centimeters of string to make ties out of later. My extra string is just above my tape. Now that our strings are arranged, we're ready to start the bracelet. We're going to focus on the 5 strings on the left. The outermost string, the string on the left, starts out by doing 3 forward knots onto these strings, and then a forward backward knot onto the 4th string. The pink string that I was just using is now going to be put off to the side, and I'm going to focus on the yellow string and the purple string that are in the middle. The purple string does a backward knot onto the yellow string. We put this purple string off to the side. The next purple string does a backward forward knot onto the yellow string. And then the purple string does 3 forward knots on the remaining 3 strings. Row 1 is complete. We've got a little bit of pink and a little bit of purple. We're going in candy stripe rows, so we're starting on the left again. This time we isolate 3 of the strings on the left. The outermost string does a forward knot and a forward backward knot on the strings that follow. Then we pull in another string, which is this dark pink string, and it does a backward knot onto the light pink. After that, we grab the next string, which is the purple string, and it does a backward forward knot onto the pink. And then for the rest of the row, this purple string goes in a candy stripe row. So it just does forward knots, 1 on each of these strings, so 5 forward knots. Row 2 is complete. On to row 3. We start with the 2 strings on the left, and we do a backward knot between them with the dark pink onto the light pink. We grab the next string, which is the dark pink, and this dark pink does a backward forward knot onto the light pink. And now we actually have the perfect setup here already. We exclude the string on the right, which is a purple string for me, and with the dark pink string... Hello, editing Masha here. I'm about to do 6 forward knots in this video. In fact, you should be doing 5 forward knots and 1 forward backward knot. For me, the forward backward knot would be on that first purple string. And here is where I notice my mistake, which hopefully I voice-overed for you. I hate it when this happens in tutorials. I always make a mistake in any bracelet that I make, but it's the worst when it happens as I'm filming a tutorial. Just gonna untie it real quick, which is what you can do if you make a mistake. I just use a little safety pin. And just as I said, on that first purple string that we encounter, we should have done a forward backward knot with the dark pink string. And the next knot is between the 2 purple strings, so I'm just doing a forward knot here. 3 rows down, 1 to go. For this row, it's actually easier to separate from the right side. So just separate 4 strings, put them off to the side. People ask me all the time, Masha, how do your strings not tangle when you're making bracelets? And the answer is that they do, I just cut it out usually. Also, top tip, you only really need to untangle the one string that you're working with. The outermost string on the left, which is the pink string for me, does 5 forward knots. Then we grab the next string after that and we do a forward backward knot with the pink string onto the blue string. And here we make a backward knot with the pink string onto the blue string. The purple string does a backward forward knot onto the blue string and then a forward knot onto the purple string to the right of it. And that is it. Those are the 4 repeating rows. Continue making your bracelet until it reaches the length that you want. There are timestamps in the description to make it easier for you to jump around this tutorial and rewind to the beginning. The colors have changed, but the knots and the order in which we make them stays exactly the same. I'm going to finish this bracelet off with a half triangle end as well. It's easy to do for this bracelet because it's going to be made in a candy stripe shape regardless. So you can do that whenever you feel like the bracelet reached the length that you want. And again, there is a tutorial linked in the description for how to do triangle ends and half triangle ends as well. I'm going to go finish this bracelet off camera and I'll see you once I'm done. I thought I would explain another way on how to make this friendship bracelet, which is what I ended up using as I was finishing this bracelet. There is no one correct way how to segment knot specific patterns. There's multiple ways you can do it, and typically I just choose the easiest way to explain in my videos. So for this bracelet there are 4 repeating rows, so that's how I chose to explain it, in 4 repeating rows in candy stripe shapes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way to do it. It's probably the easiest to understand as a beginner, but if you have a general understanding of bracelets, maybe try this way instead. That said, I'll be going a lot quicker and I don't really have a visual aid for this, so bear with me if you feel like it. So another way to do it is to kind of balance it out. Instead of going in candy stripe shapes, which are a little bit unbalanced, do it in a way that kind of progresses the bracelet simultaneously from both sides. I'm going to go a lot quicker here. I would start by doing pretty much the entirety of this row, just the same way that I explained it in the tutorial, except for the last knot, ignoring that one. Then I would do most of the next row, ignoring the last 3 knots. Then I would do the first 4 knots of the 3rd row and the first 2 knots of the row following that, plus the first knot of the next one. So by this point, you've kind of evened your bracelet out and it's no longer in that like weird candy stripe shape. You've brought all of your colors out to the right and you've reversed those strings in a reverse knot, that forward backward knot across all of these strings. Now we're going to be bringing them to the left. We've already started with that first knot that we did. We move on to the next color, we do 2 knots, a backward and a backward forward. We do the same for the dark pink, a backward and a backward forward, and we do that twice actually for both of the strings of that. Then for the purple here, we're going to be doing that like triangle part with the backward knot, the backward forward, and the forward. And now, again, we've reversed them all in the opposite direction and we're moving to the right, and we've already kind of started that with the purple string. So now the pink string goes all the way to the right. The next pink string goes all the way to the right. The next pink string also nearly goes all the way to the right, except for that last string. It does a reverse knot on the string before that. Then again, we're kind of back where we started now, where we just did that like entirety of that first row, didn't we? So we continue, we take the next string, we reverse it kind of at the same point as we did the other ones, and we just continue and we go this way. So that's kind of an alternative way how you can split this segment knotting up. You can probably understand why this is a little bit more difficult to explain and why I choose not to do visual aids for this part. But I thought I'd give you an alternate way because if you are more familiar with bracelets, you might find this a little bit easier, more comfortable to knot. I still stand by that the 4-row method is just easier to understand for beginners, and it is a legitimate way and it's valid and you can just do that, but I thought I'd give you some options. And this is how the bracelet turned out. I think it's really cute. I think the colors are great and there are so many different color combinations that you can try with this as well. This is quite a popular bracelet. There's a lot of photos on the Pattern on Bracelet book. So have a look at what color combinations other people did and maybe you'll get inspired. I finished the bracelet off with a half triangle end and twisted ties. I have tutorials for both of these, which will be linked in the description. I make tutorials all the time. There is also a playlist linked in the description if you want to watch more. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. It is with their support that I'm able to create the videos that I do here. And if you also want to support the channel, the link to my Patreon is in the description. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is also now out anywhere you typically buy books, and there's also a direct link in the description. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! you.